Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Sunday services at Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. We are a loving and prospering community in the heart of Denver and online. We now conduct hybrid services at the historic Grant Avenue Community Center and Sacred Place, located at 216 South Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. All are welcomed here. A place, space, and face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles that enrich our lives. We are grateful that you have blessed us with your presence. While online, we'd love to know you're watching with us. Feel free to leave a comment and let everyone appreciate you. With everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. CSL Denver wants you to know we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for personal prayer work. Our licensed spiritual practitioners' names and phone numbers are available on our website at csldenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, feel free to email it to info@csldenver.org. For your convenience, you'll find clickable links in the description of this broadcast. Rev El Zia, along with all our guest speakers, practitioners, service coordinators, and musical inspirations, want you to know how truly grateful we are that you are with us today. Thank you for your continued support and participation in our services, workshops, and events, as well as providing financial contributions to our center. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Sign up by visiting www.csldenver.org. We deliver services in a hybrid format where we meet in person at 216 South Grant Street. We will also continue to live stream all services on Facebook and YouTube every Sunday. Find us on our respective channels as well as on New Thought Media Network. Again, thank you for your precious attention. Now prepare for engaging enlightenment.
There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. in this place of light and love. You can't have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you.
Good morning, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. My name's Tim Hancock. I'm the practitioner here today, along with Reverend Mark and the music of Susan Clark. I invite you to close your eyes for the invocation. And as we move into and connect with the divine, we absolutely know that its presence is in, through, and around all of its creation. In, through, and around all of its love and joy and compassion and prosperity. And we know that we are also love, joy, compassion, prosperity, and all that is good with God. And as we move into this service, we are absolutely grateful knowing the service is blessed with the words of Reverend Mark, with my reading, with the technology of Bill and Paul, and with all of the volunteer setup and everything that goes behind the scenes. We know today is blessed. This beautiful fall day is blessed, and we are the blessings within it. I am absolutely grateful for all there is. And so it is. And our reading today is about love. That's our theme of the month. So there are important benefits for both the world and your personal life as to why you should be a loving person. We are changing the world by leaning into love, advocating for ourselves and each other's right to express love in our own unique ways, helps to create a world that works for everyone. Regardless of what challenges we're facing in our personal lives or in the world, love is the answer. The universe makes no mistakes. Every experience is unfolding for the highest and the best for the world at large. When we live from the understanding that love always wins, we consciously see how love is always unfolding before us. We are already perfect expressions of life. Change or shift is simply an unlearning of the lessons of fear that have been passed down to us for generations. When we live consciously from the understanding that love is all there is, we experience a life of love greater than we have ever known. When we love ourselves, our lives shift. Authenticity inspires joy. When we're out in the world serving as an example of self-love, we are proving to others that love always wins. Our decision to embrace who we are inspires others to do the same. Loving ourselves out loud attracts people into our lives who celebrate us instead of merely tolerating us. Loving ourselves and each other aligns us with the beautiful opportunities, experiences, and peace. And from Science of the Mind, from Ernest Holmes, page 298, love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. And from page 491, if we look at love long enough, we shall become lovely. For this is the way of love. God is love. If we gaze longingly at joy, it will make its home with us, and we shall enter its portals and be happy. And now to Susan Clark with her selection of Beautiful by Christina Aguilera.
Greetings, CSL Denver. Susan Clark coming to you again with some special music for your service. The song is by Christina Aguilera, and it's called Beautiful. Every day is so wonderful, then suddenly it's hard to breathe. Now and then I get insecure from all the pain. I'm so ashamed. I am beautiful no matter what they say. Words can't bring me down, no, no. I am beautiful in every single way. Yes, words don't bring me down, oh no. So don't you bring me down today. To all your friends, you're delirious, so consumed in all your doom, trying hard to fill the emptiness. The pieces gone, left the puzzle undone. Ain't that the way it is? But you're beautiful no matter what they say. Words can't bring you down, oh no. You are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can't bring you down, oh no. So don't you bring me down today. No matter what we do, no matter what we say, we're the song inside the tune, full of beautiful mistakes. And everywhere we go, the sun will always shine. And tomorrow we might wake on the other side. But you're beautiful, no matter what they say. Words won't bring us down, no, no. We're beautiful in every single way, yes. Words can't bring us down, oh no. So don't you bring me down today. Oh no, don't you bring me down today. Don't you bring me down, don't you bring me down today.
Thank you, Susan, for that beautiful piece of music. And good morning, everyone. It's great to be back with you here at Centers for Spiritual Living Denver. Welcome to everyone here that is in person at the Grant Center. It's great to see all of you here in the room with me this morning. And welcome to everyone who is online this morning as well. Thank you for being with us, and we bless you as well. And those of you who may watch this recording after the fact. So thank you all for participating in this service this morning, where, as Tim said, our topic for the whole month is love. And specifically this morning, we're talking about why and how to be a loving person. Why and how to be a loving person. So essentially, we've got about 20 to 25 minutes to talk about love. And the first couple of thoughts you might have in regards to that is, first, you may be thinking, if you've heard me speak before, when has Mark ever spoken for just 20 to 25 minutes? Maybe your first thought. But I try. I really do try. And the second one is a topic that is so vast and all-encompassing as the topic of love. It's very difficult for us to spend just a few minutes on. But I do think in a few minutes we can hit on some key concepts that will be helpful to you in your life. And what I hope to do in the next few minutes is to reorient your thinking about what love is, and also the importance of bringing it into your life more fully, and a few tips on how you can do that. And we can actually pull that train in, I think, in just a few minutes. But we're going to start with a process. I want to do a little different this morning. I want us to anchor us into something. So no matter where you are, whether you're online or watching the recording or here in the room with me, I would invite you just to close your eyes for a moment and just feel into yourself. And as you listen to my words, what I want you to do is visualize some experience in your life. It can be this morning, it can be recent, it can be from your past, somewhere where you have really, truly felt a sense of love flowing through you, of love being this energy that's connecting you with another person or a pet or someone else. You've just been in those moments where there is a deep, deep sense of love that's almost overwhelming to you. Can you feel into a situation in your life? I'll describe one for me as you visualize your own, and maybe mine will help you in anchoring yours in as well. One experience that happened for me, or happens frequently actually, is many mornings my wife Mary and I, we get up, and oftentimes we get out of bed at different times, but we may, as soon as we see each other, there is sort of a moment where we stop and we go to embrace. And as we're standing there hugging one another, and I'm feeling this feeling of love that is flowing through me and into her and encompassing her and back from her, a love that's flowing through her and coming to me. I can just feel that sense of an energetic love flow, and that happens for a few minutes. And we have a chocolate lab named Penny who loves to get in the mix whenever there's love going on. And she will give us a moment and then come over and put her head in between our legs and sort of nuzzle in as well. And then all of a sudden that love cascades out and you can feel her love and her flowing of it. Okay, that's one experience of mine, but you can open your eyes now. And I want you to visualize your own. And later, hopefully you were able to conjure something up. But what I want you to anchor into your awareness in this moment is that sense of the feeling that you get in that moment when you're connecting and you feel love flowing through you. And we all know that feeling because we've all experienced it in some manner, in some form or fashion in our life. And so when we ask about, why be a loving person, obviously the short answer in that moment is because that feeling is so grand and glorious, because it allows us to feel that deep connection to some other human being. And in that sense of feeling that connection, it takes us to a different place. It takes us beyond this world of form, the world of matter, the world of stuff. It anchors us into the true importance that our lives are grander and bigger than this material existence that we're in. It anchors us into something that we might call spiritual. And that's where we're going with this talk. What I really want to do over the next couple of minutes is to reframe love into this sense of an energy that is connecting us to something greater and grander. What do we think of that is love when we first hear the words? I mean, for the most part, when we hear the words, what is love, we conjure up romantic love. We think about those moments that are sung about in so many songs. They're the subjects of so many rom-com movies. They're the subjects of the whole genre of romance novels. So much of an entertainment industry is built on anchoring us back into something that's bigger and grander than us. But we see it in the human side, the humanness that wants to have that excitement and the passion and the romantic feeling that all gets rolled up into us. But when we stop and think about it, what's really happening in those moments when we quote unquote fall in love? We're letting go of a part of ourselves to connect with another individual. And that's what the whole spiritual path is about, is to break down that sense of being a separate and apart individual and connecting with others, connecting with other human beings, connecting with ourselves, and connecting to a broader and broader number. And that's where we're actually going with it. So when we feel romantic love, if I were to ask you what is love for you, you might say romantic love. And you might add into it, but I also feel love for, babies and my children and my family members. And then you might think about your friends, you might think about your pets. There is sort of this cadre of entities out there in the world that we just know that we have love for and we have felt love for. And if you look back over the path of your life, and in preparing this talk, I thought about it for myself and looked back about when did I first feel love and when were the moments in my life when I felt the love the most. And, I could categorize them. I could see, when my mother went back to work and when I was a baby and they hired a nanny, and that nanny was the object of love for me. And in the moments when I had grew into the space where I was a parent myself. And as a parent, I would have had my own children. And when my first child was born, and that sense of love that came up within me for all of my children, but I can especially remember the first child when she was born and I saw her in the hospital, and tears just flowed out of my eyes before the love that I immediately had for this child. So as a child, feeling love for my caretaker, as a parent, feeling love for my child, there's this natural flow of love that occurs that has a caretaker aspect to it. But I also remember the moments in my life when I had that romantic fall in love feeling. I remember when I was in the third grade, and there was a girl up the street whose name was Joni. I can remember it even though it was too many years to mention ago. And I immediately remember the first time I saw her, and there was this feeling in me that felt a sense of connectedness to this other person. Not enough that I could overcome my shyness to actually talk to her, of course, but we lived next to her for like 3 years. And I remember it was a good day if I ever mustered up the energy to speak to her. But during the entire time there, I had a massive crush and a feeling of connection to her. And I can take it forward to relationships that I had when I first started dating and getting married. And of course, the love I have for my current wife, Mary, that we've been together 20 years now. And it's just a glorious and wonderful experience. But if I categorize all of that, I can say, yes, love is this romantic aspect that so many songs and entertainment anchors into our awareness. But it's also these connections that we have with other key people in our lives and pets. And so I can see this cascading circle of entities that I am connecting with. And if we stop and analyze it, which we like to analyze stuff, scientists will say that, well, there's a natural reason why we have this feeling of love come up in us. Love serves the role on the romantic side for us to feel a key person that we want to mate with so we can propagate the species. That's what an evolutionary biological scientist would say. And they would also say that the love we feel for our children or our child love for our caretakers is to create the bonding that allows us to protect us through those formative years so that we can grow up and be a parent who propagates the species. And so much of love is about connecting us. And then when we connect with others, the bigger and the heavier the strength the bond is in our communities serves to forge a protective circle. You could think of bands and tribes of people getting together and how they could protect themselves better, and then through that protection grow older and propagate the species. So if we look at it purely from a biological material standpoint, we see a human material aspect of love. And we also overlay, and I think we limit ourselves when we look at it from just that perspective. I want to look at it from a broader evolutionary standpoint. I think it's actually pointing us to an evolution into the non-material realm, into the spiritual realm, and that's the true purpose for love. But we also have another misconception or a limitation that we place upon love in our lives. We use the phrase fall in love, or we feel that love is something that just happens to us, that we have no control over it, that we are victims of a love bug that bit us and we fell in love. And, and then all of a sudden, we got the immune system to the bug and we fell out of love. And so love comes and goes sometimes in our life, but, with a feeling that we have no control over it. It's just something that happens to us. Well, that's victim thinking. Victim thinking when we think that love is only something that can happen to us and we have no control over it. So what I want you to do this morning is to broaden your perspective of love, to see it less as simply about biological evolution, and it's about spiritual evolution. I'll talk on that in just a second. And I want you to see it that you're not a victim to love, but that you are a co-creator with the divine to bring more love into your life, that you have the power to expand love in your life and on the planet. And in fact, by so doing, it supports the spiritual evolution that we're all called to. So, what do I mean by the spiritual evolution aspects of love? To get to that concept, I have to talk about something that I often bring up in every one of my talks here with CSL Denver, and that's the fact, as Teilhard de Chardin so famously spoke about, that we are spiritual beings that are essence, spiritual beings who are having a material life experience. So anchor that into your moment, into your awareness for a moment. That although most of the time we seem to be focused on the world of form and matter in our physical lives and the things that are going on here, and we talk about love from a biological standpoint, that truly we're at another end of a spectrum where on the other end, everything is one and everything is spirit. All is God, all is one, which is what we teach in Science of Mind, is that there is this vast oneness. And in fact, the spiritual journey is simply a movement along a continuum from being anchored in the world of form and separation and seeing ourselves as separate and apart from one another, to being anchored in our awareness that we're all one and that we live in a universe of vast oneness. And the more that we can move along that scale to sense know the oneness and the deepness of our life, that is true enlightenment. It can come at a flash on the meditation cushion where you feel the oneness, but for most of us, it's incremental over time as we move up the scale to more and more an awareness. Love, in the sense of care and concern for something outside us, is moving us up from the lower ends of the spectrum. It has an evolutionary force purpose to direct us out of being only caring about ourselves, to first be caring about others, to be caring about more others, to be caring about more others, to eventually our care and concern encompasses all that is. And what moves us into doing that? Love. When I can begin by a sense of love for myself, I'm anchored into an awareness that myself as an individual, as Mark, is worthy, whole, and complete. When I can see that in love and authentically care about myself, not in an egotistical, narcissistic way. Let me be very clear. This isn't about saying I'm better than you or anything like that. It's simply me recognizing my value by the very nature that I was born on this planet and that I am a spiritual being. I have worth and value. And the more I can anchor into that awareness, then I now can come from that space to love someone else, to share the love that I have for myself or another. So when Mary and I hug and I can feel that flow of energy that I was describing a few minutes ago, I come from a sense of wholeness in that love rather than a sense of lack. I'm not needing anything from her. I'm needing to allow the flow to come through me that's already there already. And in the feeling of doing that, all of a sudden I'm connecting with another entity in the manifest universe where we express ourselves as this multiplicity. It's Penny the dog, it's me, it's Mary, it's all of you, whoever is in your life. When we can feel that energetic flow there, and when we can feel it with more and more and more people, then we're moving up the scale to encompass a greater sense of oneness by doing that. And that's the path of our evolutionary spiritual journey, is to remember the truth of who we are, that we are these spiritual beings born from wholeness and born from oneness. Now, in a social scientist way, they have words for this. They say when we care about ourselves, we are egocentric when we only care about ourselves. But if we can grow up what they call a line of development, that's called the moral line of development, we go from being egocentric about caring and only about ourselves to caring about people around us. Then we're called ethnocentric. And this can include our families, the groups that we're members of, our religious communities, our city, our state, our country. We can think of it as sort of like a cascading circle moving outward as we encompass more and more people into this circle of people that we care and concern for. Now, most people stop somewhere in an intermediate range of that ethnocentric. They care about themselves and maybe their little world, or people who think like them. What we're called to do, though, in moving up this scale is to become something that's even greater. It can be called world-centric or cosmos-centric, where all of a sudden we let go of only caring about the people who are like us to caring about people who are different from us as well, because we know that even the expressions in our differences, at our base, we're all united in the very nature that we're all spiritual beings expressing differently. And so when I can look beyond the surface differences and anchor my awareness into our basic spiritual unity, then I can open myself to care and concern for everyone. So, and then eventually to every sentient being, every animal, the planet itself. And so when I can move this grand love outward, then I am seeing that I am moving on my spiritual evolutionary journey. I am becoming enlightened the more that I can do this. And so spiritual practices and practicing love and being a loving person in my life allows this to grow not only in my life, but my sphere of influence cascades out, and I can impact others to create greater love and expressions of love in their life as well. So I have a role in bringing love to the planet. I have a role in it through being a loving and beneficial presence myself. And so do each and every one of you. Everyone out here listening to these words, if you anchor back to that feeling of love that you had that I described at the very beginning of this talk, was to recognize, oh, that feels so good. What if we created a planet where we all felt that, where we all felt that feeling of love all the time? What would the world be like? Would it break down the war and into war? Would it break down divisiveness? Would it break down the political struggles that we see going on in our country? Would it break down racism and all the other fears and power struggles that we see on our planet? The more that we can each feel into and feel that cascading flow of love for a care and concern for a broader and broader number is truly what our spiritual path is all about. Teilhard Chardin also said that once we discover love, the true power of love, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he said it would be like discovering fire for the second time. Because he wasn't talking about the love, the romantic love, the limited sense of love that we have a feeling for. But he was talking about love as this evolutionary force. Love, the feeling of love that we experience in our human level, is truly an energetic force that is calling us to break out of our sense of being separate and feeling connected. And the more we can feel connected, the more we become enlightened, and the more we create a world that works for everyone. So I want you to rephrase your sense of love today to see it not as romance only, not as familial love only, not as love for our pets and our friends, not only even the agape love, which is the love of spirit and spirit's love for me, but to broaden it to encompass all of that love. That love, as it expresses itself in your life, is all of it. And it is serving a purpose for your spiritual growth. So the more that you can be a beneficial, loving presence is serving your spiritual growth and spurring the spiritual growth of our planet and creating that world that we all know we want. And the second point, so let's shift our thinking about, is it an evolutionary force? Yes, but not simply on the biological material side. It's a spiritual evolutionary force that's driving our whole spiritual remembrance of our truth. But the second misconception I remember I mentioned ago was that we think that love is something that happens to us. But we are co-creators of love. That feeling that comes and cascades through us, we don't have to wait for it to happen. We can create it whenever we want to. We can manifest the flow of love in our life. In fact, many times you've probably done this, that you have had an experience where something, and you just felt the love. You just felt the love for someone. And it could be watching a TV show. It can be watching the news or driving by a car wreck and just sending that person love in this moment. Sending anyone who's in the middle of a challenge the feeling of love. Sending anyone who is in an argument the feeling of love. You know, we can be love in our lives. we can be love. So we can intellectualize, and we can feel what a world it would be if we all felt that divine flow of love in us all the time. Okay. And then we come back to the reality of material life, and we forget that for a few minutes. What I'm calling you to do is to find some techniques and areas in your life where you can bring that feeling of love more fully in more moments. Now, to that end, I sat down this week and I thought, I'm not going to have enough time to give you all the ideas that probably were flowing through me about how you can specifically bring more love into your life. So I created a blog on my website. I sat down and it just flowed through me the other day. And first off, my website's consciousbridge.com. Conscious Bridge, it's on the screen there for those of you who are watching. And on that website, if you go there, the latest blog that just came out this morning is called 25 Tips for Creating More Love in Your Life. I think that's something like that. Whatever the actual title is going to be on there. 25 Tips to Bring More Love to Your Life. Thank you. It was pretty close. I told him to put that up, and that's the title of the blog. And it was simply 25 quick hit tips. Like, consider this, consider this, consider this, consider this. I don't have time to go through them all, but I do want to share a few broad strokes from that article. And I would encourage everybody who's watching or in the room here to go to consciousbridge.com later and just read through it and just see if it gives you any ideas about how you can bring this concept of love more fully into your life. But the first thing I would invite you to do is to consider a broader idea of love, like we've been talking about this morning, to see love as an energy that you can control and bring more fully into your life. And then to consciously set an intention to bring that flow into more and more of moments in the events of your life. In that, probably one of the biggest things you can do, because it's easy. It's easy for me to look at Mary or Penny or anybody that I'm close to and feel love for them. The harder thing is when I'm challenged by somebody. In those moments when somebody is throwing differences in my face, I sort of my humanness wants to throw differences right back at them and keep the divisiveness going. But that's not truly serving love, and that's not the most loving thing I can do. So one thing is to stop and say, in this moment, what's the most loving thing I can do? What does love want? It's a common question you often hear. What would love do? Ask yourself some question. Have a little quick question about what's the best response. What's the most loving response in this moment? And have in your little toolbox of mental things you can pull out in a moment's notice. The other day, I went to the library to get a book they had on hold for me, and I'm going in. There was some guy standing out in his car, and I think he must have been on drugs or something, to be honest. But he was, he saw me go by, and he hurled some insult at me. No, I thought, that's interesting. I just went on by. And then on the way back, he decided he was going to hurl about 14 insults at me. And, and of course, your hairs get up, your conditioning gets up, and you want to say, and you want to, throw it back at them. And but I very quickly, I'm like, okay, this guy's in a challenge. If I were in his shoes, if I was living his life, I might be acting like he's acting. How can I, and this is the key point, the key suggestion I want to give you all, is how in those moments of challenge can you take the perspective of the other person? How can you? Because truly, if we're all God and we're all part of this vast oneness, then even the person hurling the insults at me is God and part of the oneness as well. The people who are on TV or spouting political opinions differ from you, and you get angry about what they're saying. The people who are on social media and making social media posts that are less than loving, that get you angry. Anytime you're feeling an emotional response that is less than the highest and is not loving, stop in those moments and let that feeling, that emotion, be a reminder that you can change it. That you have the ability, you have what we call the response ability. You have the response ability to choose your response in those moments. And a lot of those 25 tips that are in that website are all about looking at those moments to take the perspective of the other person, so that you can open your heart to them. It's not to say I've got to agree with them. It's not to say that I have to empower them in incorrect choices they may be making in the moment. But it's to take the most loving response in that moment, which in some cases, it's not saying anything and it's walking away, which is what I did with the guy at the library. I sent him love in my mind, but I didn't say anything to him because I knew that was the best response in the moment. But we all can choose how we're going to respond. And when we do that, we create more love in our lives. And we create more love on the planet. We all have the ability to do this. We all have the responsibility to be a loving and kind person. So I know for each and every one of us today, we're going to take that step, no matter where you are, whether you're online, watching the recording, you're here in the room. I know that anybody that is touched by this can be touched by our love, that we can be a force for love and good, and we can allow that love and good to cascade out. Share these words. Share your own perspective on love with other people. Share what works for you. Go to the website and get more tips if you want, and then find other tips beyond that and share them with other people. Think back to that feeling earlier in this talk about that feeling of love flowing through you. And imagine that flowing through everyone all the time, where we all sought the best for everyone in all moments, where we all responded in a way of oneness. Just go within for just a moment and just feel into that. For we recognize and know there is only one life. There's only God. There's only Spirit, the all, whatever name you want to give it. But we're all embedded and created and rolling around in this joyous life in the total playground of the divine. And as we anchor ourselves into that awareness, we know that sometimes people, and that can include us, because we're people too, that as we move around as this expressions of the one and the multiplicity, that we can forget our truth. But in this moment, we remember our truth. We remember that the divine is in us, as us, that it is calling us home, that is embedded within us, not only consciousness and free will choice, it's embedded within us, this flow of love which serves as an evolutionary call home to our truth of oneness, that love serves continuously to bring us back to the remembrance of that. And so I know for everyone hearing these words today that you are love, that you bring and show more love in your individual lives, and through that cascading out to others and touching lives in ways that we truly do create a world that works for all. And just knowing that we are all love and showing up as love, and for all of it I give so much love. I feel it in this moment, the love. And as you feel it too, allow that feeling to stay with you throughout your day and all your affairs. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Mark, for those wonderful words. And we are so grateful and blessed for everyone's support of CSL Denver, whether it's, there we are, it's better, whether it's in time, treasure, or talent, and especially during this time of change. Whether this is your first time joining us or you are a returning community participant, we want to thank you for your continuing financial support of the important work we're striving to provide. Right now, there are several ways you can make your financial contributions to Center for Spiritual Living Denver. The information will be running along the bottom of the screen. And please note that we have a new text to give phone number if you're choosing to donate that way. That number is 616-441-0689. There are other ways that we can also do it, such as you can send your check or money order to our post office box 300416, Denver, Colorado 80203, or you can log on to our website, csldenver.org, and hit the donate button. It's on that as well. And now I would like you to take your tithe in your hand, or put your hand over your heart and just simply repeat with me the usual affirmation. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. freely I give, and joyously I receive. And so it is. Thank you. Okay, now we do have a couple upcoming events. We have an upcoming class. It's called Keys to Consciousness for Personal Spiritual Growth, Keys to the Spiritual Path. It's going to be on 4 Wednesdays, starting September 27th, October 4th. We do skip a week, and then we resume on October 18th and then the 25th of October. It's 6 to 9 p.m., and it's here at the historic Grant Avenue building, 216 South Grant Street, Denver. It's a minimum of 10%, 10 participants, the maximum of 12, and it's $50 per person. The instructor is Reverend Alzia, and this is an in-person class only. It's not going to be live streamed. This class explores the journey of spiritual development and introduces mysticism as a personal commitment to spiritual growth through direct experiences of the infinite reality. Participants will develop a deeper understanding of the unity inherent in religious ideas and universal principles. So send an email to info@csldenver.org to let us know if you're interested in signing up for the class, and you will receive information to sign up. As we've been announcing, there is a new book titled Ernest Holmes at Asilomar, Lectures and Classes from the 1950s, that was actually compiled by Reverend Mark for Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundations. You can go to the Centers for Spiritual Living Denver Facebook page, click on the link provided, and you can purchase either the paperback or the ebook. The book's available also on Amazon or shopcsl.org. If you were able to enjoy Jessie Powers in our July guest musician, she's now going to be in Denver live and in person on Saturday, September 30th. Jessie and Patricia will be having a Raising Vibration House concert at a private residence in Arvada. Doors open at 6 p.m. for optional potluck dinner, drinks, snacks, and mingle, and the concert starts at 7 p.m. You can RSVP by going to info@ntmedia.org to receive the address. This is a donation-based concert. Please come and enjoy the music, food, and drink. And the suggested love offering is $20, more or less, depending on your whims. We have older Science of Mind magazines for those in the room right over here on the table, on the fellowship table. And starting this month, Science of Mind magazine's going bi-monthly. So the 2 months, the new magazines are for September and October. However, they're the same price of the $4. And that's right over there as well. And you can give the $4 to me or Alice and take the magazine. If you don't have the $4 and you want to be, and you're going to be here next week, then give us a verbal IOU. We also trust you. If you like to hear the good news of the world, to affirm the good news of the world, we have a link on our Facebook page called And Now the Good News. This program is put together by New Thought Media and airs on Friday at 5 p.m. However, you can watch it anytime during the week. Just go to the Centers for Spiritual Living Denver Facebook page, click on any post that says And Now the Good News. New Thought Media Network has over 40 hours of weekly broadcast programs. We invite you to go to www.ntmedia.org and check out what they have. There is something for everyone. And we are truly blessed here at CSL Denver. And we are blessed for you who have chosen to support us by showing up on Sundays and watching our services online. We know that as we move through the rest of this year, the Divine Beloved is guiding and loving each and every one of us. Thank you very much for joining us. Now let us close out with Chris Chickering singing A Prayer for Who We Really Are. And those in the room, please join us for fellowship after this. Thank you.
This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are light, we are sunshine, we are what we believe. We are hope, we are promise of everything that's yet to be. We are bliss, we are laughter, we are flowers in the spring. We are life, ever flowing, and these are the words that we will sing. This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are strong, we are fearless, we find the comfort in our souls. We are real, we are open to the destiny that's ours to hold. This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are here, we are present in every moment that we breathe. We are peace, we are freedom, and this is a song for you and me. Yeah, this is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really. This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us.